You know, I had to make a pretty tough decision this week. I had the opportunity to buy Earthbound, which is one of my favorite games of all time. The only issue with that is that it's a little bit pricey, so it was either buy that or feed my family. Obviously, I made the right decision. I mean, what kind of man would I be if I didn't put the needs of others in front of my own? I mean, that would be so selfish and childish. The decision made itself, really. So why are retro games so expensive? There's a lot of different factors at play here, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to scarcity. I took a semester of economics, so I know this is pretty high-level stuff. Just try your best to keep up, all right? The harder it is to get your hands on a game, generally, the more expensive it's gonna be. Take Earthbound, for example. Earthbound was an RPG on the SNES and the second game in the Mother series. It followed Ness around Eagle Land, which was a parody of the US, as he and his friends try to save the world. You know, this one really great YouTuber who also happens to be like really handsome and like super charming and also really cool. They made a great video on it. I'll put it in the description down below. You should maybe go check that out. But despite Earthbound being a really great game, it didn't really sell all that well when it was released. And if you combine that with it being the only game in the Mother series that got a localized copy in the US, and the nostalgia that started hitting when people realized how good the game was, everybody wanted to play it. And we all know the only way to play retro games is to buy an official copy. Nintendo, do you hear me? The only way is to buy an official copy. There's no other way to download it for free. Quick side note here, I am of sound mind and actually really happy, and I'm a pretty great swimmer. So Nintendo, if you get any ideas, just saying. So that makes sense, right? Demand surpasses supply, so the price shoots up. But when it comes to inflating prices, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And oftentimes it's from a species of human I like to call the collector. Some of the things people collect are kind of odd and honestly sometimes dangerous, like lead paint toys and live grenades, or even worse, Funko Pops. Now let me preface this by saying I don't collect anything, so it's kind of hard for me to get into that collector's mindset. I guess I used to collect Mighty Beans when I was a kid. You guys remember those?
All you crazy, colorful dudes that are ready to flip-flop, bop and hop right into your collection.
I used to pop handfuls of those in my mouth and swish them all around, dude. It felt so good. And also they looked cool, too. I guess I never really knew what Mighty Beans were actually made for.
Hi guys, this is the Mighty Beans Mega Track fully assembled, and this is how you race. So the first thing you do is find a friend, grab a bean,
You race. 3, 2, 1, go.
So I guess they were for racing. They did feel good to put in your mouth and swish around, though. And it's really a miracle I never choked, because that diameter is like the perfect size to slide down your gullet. Let's talk about, how about those retro games, right? Oh my god, the prices. But like I was saying, I don't really get the whole collecting thing. And some of the things that collectors go crazy over really baffle me, and that's no different whenever it comes to the retro game market. Take this copy of Super Mario Bros. 3, for example. One of these copies is worth almost 2 times more than the other. Why is that? Well, this copy has Bros printed on the left side of the cover instead of the right side. And that's it. Everything else is the same. It still plays the same. There's not like any glitches for speed running or anything like that. It's the exact same thing, just printed different. But it's a little bit more rare, so collectors are foaming at the mouth. I need that. I need it. Another example of this are the 5-screw NES games. NES games used to be held together by 5 standard flathead screws. And at some point around 1987, Nintendo switched to a 3-screw cartridge design, presumably because it was cheaper to make. Some of the games that were in production during this time shipped out with both a 3-screw and a 5-screw version. So games like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out jumped dramatically in price when we're looking at the 5-screw versus the 3-screw versions, soaring from just $50 for a loose copy all the way up to $500 just because there's 2 extra screws in the cartridge. I feel like I'm losing my mind. I just don't get it. Same thing with Jaws the game. There's a huge jump in price if you have the 5-screw version. It's insane. With all that being said, like, I get it makes it more rare and hard to find, and that can be cool to have. But there's some games out there, like any Pokemon game really, that have soared in price, even though there are tons of copies out there. While there are rare Pokemon games like Gale of Darkness and Pokemon Box, if you can call that a game, that can fetch upwards of $1,000, even the ones that everybody had, those are still soaring in price right now. The games on the DS and GBA sell for over $100 regularly, and I think there's a couple reasons for that. The biggest one, in my opinion, is Nintendo's refusal to port these games. I just don't get it. It would be like an infinite money glitch. Nintendo, you like money. This is like printing money. Dude, if you release the original Pokemon games for the Switch, I know I would buy it. Everybody else who's a fan of the series would buy it. I don't know why they haven't done it yet. It's just a very Nintendo thing to do, to have a game that everybody loves and would gladly pay for, and then they just do nothing with it. I'm just pissed off I blew it, man. I should have been going around buying up all the Pokemon games and throwing them into a safe for 15 years. Instead, I was just snotting all over myself and then stressing over rocket math. I could have been investing. And that's something that I think contributes quite a bit to the inflation of the retro game market, is the money laundering, or I mean the investment opportunities. You got Gary V out there telling people, fuck a Roth IRA, how many Fortnite skins do you own? Renegade Raider is the new 401k. Yes, that is exactly what Gary V sounds like. Personally, I think grading video games is kind of stupid and a little bit shady depending what service you use. Pretty much all the games that have sold for ridiculous prices were graded by this company WADA and sold by Heritage Auctions. And a lot of people are claiming that there's some shady stuff going on here. They got hit with a lawsuit for market manipulation. Carl Jobst made a really great video about it, and it was super interesting, so you guys should definitely check that out. Now, my advice, there's probably a lot of other investments that are a lot better than retro video games. Like subscribing to the channel. You could tell everybody how you're one of the first 2,000 juicers. Now that is financial advice. All right, see you guys later.